Welcome back, Shalligators. Ho, ho, ho. Yeah, we're talking about Lindsay Lohan, not Christmas. Lindsay Lohan is engaged. I would love to say that I'm happy for her, but I'm not. Why? She's kind of a shitty person. I have a lot of first-person experience with her. We used to be like on the scene kind of together. I was an entertainment journalist. She was obviously a celebrity. And the things I have witnessed Lindsay do, I don't know that you'd be super psyched that she's getting a happy ending either. But let's break this all down, right? Today, we're going to talk about, what Lindsay is actually like. I'll tell you. I mean, and listen, I don't know her 100%. We're not friends, but I have observed her enough times that I feel like I've got a pretty good data profile of what she's like. And I think we all know the headlines about her. So we're going to talk about what to do when you see shitty people succeeding. Why do they keep succeeding? And how? And how can we borrow some of those traits to improve our chances of success? And is engagement success in general? Because you know what? It's engagement season. I know, like, there is such a thing. Like, I'm so single. It's so annoying. But yeah, it's the holidays. People are getting engaged. Kill me right now. We're going to talk about all of this, break down the psychology of bad people, and why they seem to get ahead, especially in places like Hollywood, but actually in our own lives too. But before we get started, just want to remind you guys that if you need a last minute Christmas present, I guess it's not last minute, just a regular Christmas present for someone or yourself or a holiday pep talk, head on over to Cameo where you can book a custom video from yours truly. Also shop my SLXO clothing collection. We've got hoodies, crops, crew necks, bags in Rich and Sad is one of our designs. And the other one is Evil is More Fun, made by the incredible graphic artist, Sid the Visual Kid. She's designed for Fall Out Boy. I mean, so many people. I love her stuff and I'm so excited to finally work with her. Hi, Sid, if you're watching. So get Christmas all sorted. And speaking of Christmas, we are starting Vlogmas on Wednesday. Definitely leave your holiday video topics. We're going to try a video every day in December. I mean, I'll probably land somewhere around like 25 videos. That's still a lot, right? I'm not going to leave you guys hanging. We're going to talk about like gift giving when you're broke, how to deal with seeing an ex back home, all sorts of stuff, staying on your diet. I'm going to do some story times. And tomorrow we are doing a video exposing a con artist. Little Christmas gift to myself. And we're going to talk about how to deal with a con artist. And we're also going to talk in this video about how these concepts kind of relate, right? So we're going to get into it. So let's talk Lindsay. No, I'm not happy for her. It's just, okay. So if you guys are new here, I was an entertainment journalist for like 10 plus years in New York City. I worked for FHM, which is a men's magazine. I worked for the New York Daily News, which is a huge newspaper, Glamour, Star Magazine, I was editor of Star. Like, I did a lot of red carpets. I was at a lot of parties, and you just kind of get in the scene, right? And I was just sort of a girl about town in my own right. So I was invited to things even just outside of the scope of work. My point is, I was around Lindsay a lot. Like a lot. I would see her on red carpets, where you have to be on your best behavior. You're answering questions. She was very rarely on her best behavior. I would see her at events like Fashion Week parties and, premiere parties and, clothing launches and stuff like that. I would also just see her out and about at clubs. Like we would be, sitting at tables next to each other, and we knew a lot of people in common. And I can count on one hand, one finger, this finger, how many times she was like tolerable. She's one of those people, and I know you guys have friends like this, where it's like they're so fun until they're not, until like there's this shift and you can almost count it down. It's like 3, 2, 1, it's cry o'clock. Isn't it, Rachel? Right? They hit this sort of wall where they become a bitch, they get sloppy drunk, they start a fight. I've seen Lindsay do all of these things. I've seen her in physical fights. Like, she wasn't like, rah, like throwing punches, but she would have had bouncers and stuff not intervened. And she did these things. I can't remember exactly what the event was, but it was not like a club. We weren't at like an Irish pub in Southside Boston. We were like at a nice event where you don't fight people. But she was fighting someone at the coat check, saying that someone was taking her coat, which is ironic because she did steal several people's coats before. There was that whole story that she stole like a fur coat from someone at a club. Like, and this is when she was famous and had money. She could have bought her own fur coat, but grilled cheese sandwiches, they get expensive. Crazy where that money can go, right? And so she was like accusing someone else of taking her coat, and the woman's like, I'm not even wearing a coat. It was just crazy. And she was screaming and hollering, and security had to come over. And it was just, her behavior was always so coarse. It was always so base and so trashy. She's one of those people that has to have drama. Like, and the thing with drama is the threshold always seems to increase. You know, it's like a drug high. Like at first a little bit gets you, and then you're like, no, I need it. And you're like injecting it into your eyeball. It's that way with drama. Like, you know, a little squabble with your sister isn't enough. Now we're squabbling in the hotel room at the Fontainebleau, and we refuse to leave because she doesn't want to check out yet. She got in many of these altercations at hotels where she wouldn't leave, where she racked up like all these room charges and then didn't understand why she actually had to pay for them. And they're like, we're comping your room. We're not comping the 20 grand in like room service and minibar and bottles. No, you need to pay it. But people like Lindsay keep failing upward. You know, she was arrested, I don't even know how many times. And quite frankly, I don't care to look, but I do know she spent 84 minutes in jail, right? She went to rehab 5 times. And there was this interview with her mom. I think it was on like Good Morning America. And I want to say it was Hoda Kotb interviewing her. I met Hoda, and she is like this angel made of marshmallow fluff and sugar and princess sparkles. And she smells so good, and she's so sweet, and she's so wonderful. Same with Kathy Lee. I was a row in front of her on a flight. We took a red eye to New York, and we just like chit-chatted over this. She's great. Just lovely. Love them. But Hoda was, let's say it was Hoda. It might not be, and I'm so sorry if it wasn't. But she was asking Lindsay's mom, Dina Lohan, the grand high priestess of mess. She was like, you know, Lindsay, she's been in rehab like 5 times, you know, something like, are you addressing her drug problem or something? And she made a statement about Lindsay having a drug problem, like a definitive statement. It wasn't a question. And her mom's like, well, I don't know. I don't know if she really does. You know, she's just young. And it was so revelatory. Like, you've been to rehab 5 times. Most people don't go 1 time. They don't go a time to rehab, let alone multiple times. And your mom, your mother, who is supposed to be like shooting you straight, God knows my mom does, is like, well, I mean, does she? Yes, she does. Okay. I've seen it. Yes. Even if it's not drugs, she just has problems. She's got drama. She's addicted to drama. I'm sure she's got some sort of attachment disorder. Like, I'm sure there's a lot going on there. I mean, we've seen it play out. So my point is, no, I'm not happy for Lindsay getting engaged. I'm not happy. Because it just seems like someone just keeps winning. And she's been engaged before to that Russian like oligarch, Egor Tabarasov, I think his name is. Who cares? And he gave her this huge, I mean, she was so set. She was like set for life. All she had to do was not fuck it up. She would steal his phone. This fight they got into on that beach. Yeah, she stole his phone, and he was like yanking at her trying to get it back. These two look so fucking toxic. I mean, so they ended up breaking up, and I just remember thinking like, girl, you blew it. Like, you're drama, but he's drama too. So I don't know why you think you should expect this incredibly healthy, normal, stable person. That's not what you're bringing to the table. You would be incredibly corrosive to someone healthy. So you're exactly where you belong. 2 pigeons squabbling over a rotisserie chicken carcass. But it seems things are working out. So Lindsay's been off the radar. She's been working in Dubai and Greece. What job could she have been doing? I feel like it's an old job. Maybe, I don't know, the world's oldest job, the world's oldest profession? Hey girl, I'm surprised you can give it away, let alone charge for it. So make that money. Like, if you can do it, fuck, man. You should start your own MLM. You should start your own pyramid scheme. There's a new LuLaRoe, Lilo Row. Because if you can convince someone to pay you for sex, What? Good for you. You can talk anyone into anything then. Now I'm impressed. Now I kind of want you to do well because I'm pretty impressed. But she's got this fiance, Bader, or is it Bader? I'm probably not saying it right. Shamas. He sounds Israeli, right? Oh, Israeli guys are so hot. Of course she ends up with a hot ass Israeli. What is it with these messy celebs like Trisha Paytas and Lindsay, like ending up with hot Israeli dudes? I mean, like hot for them, you know, and like seemingly vaguely normal, stable Israeli dudes. Where's my normal, stable Israeli dude? Apparently, according to his LinkedIn, he's the assistant vice president at Credit Suisse. That's a pretty good job. Credit Suisse is like a big deal. He went to the University of South Florida and the University of Tampa. I mean, I'm not impressed by Tampa, but he is educated. I'm just like, whatever. One thing I think it's important to note about why shitty people succeed is Jesus. We love a comeback story. What did Christ do? Oh, he came back. Roll the stone away. Lauryn Hill said something amazing in a song. They hail you and nail you no matter who you are. It's a song called Superstar. And this is such an incredible way to encapsulate celebrity or success in general. We watch a celebrity get big. Oh my God, look at you go. And then they reach this point where they're a little too big. And then we've hailed them and then we nail them like we did with Jesus. Maybe this is simply human nature. Then when people get too big, our egos kick in, the leveling happens, and we got to cut them down. But yet we also like people who rise from the ashes like that. A good phoenix story. And again, this is what Jesus did. Hailed, nailed, 3 days in that tomb. He's back, bitch. We love a comeback, a glow up. We like this because it gives us hope that even after the darkness, there arrives a dawn. And I think we especially like it when shitty people do it because we think, well, if a mess like Lindsay Lohan can go from being, in rehab 5 times to getting engaged to a seemingly normal person, fuck, man, I should be able to do this. But this Christ allegory, I think, informs a lot of the psychology about why we enable stupid people to keep succeeding. And you know what? People do deserve second chances, and people can grow, and they can come back, and they can remake themselves, learn from their mistakes, and rise again. Will Lindsay actually make it down the aisle with this dude? I don't know. She doesn't seem like the person who can land it. You know what I mean? Like, if she gets too happy, this drama, kicks in where she has to, screw things and ruin it. So let's talk about shitty people succeeding, because the world seems to be full of them. So first things first, I asked you guys on my Instagram, what's the topic here? Besides, I would love to schedule a nervous breakdown because Lindsay Lohan is engaged and I'm not. All right, cool. But you guys made a good point. You're like, let's stop pretending that getting engaged or getting married is your happy ending, that is the definition of success in life. And I'm like, oh, you guys are so wise. Yes, of course that's true. And we talk about that. And that's our vibe around here. And I was going to talk about it a lot in this video. And then I'm like, that actually deserves its own separate video because it's engagement season. I know, barf. So I think we're going to say this for Vlogmas later this week and do a whole video on how to deal with engagement season when you're single. It's one thing to be I'm happy single when it's not everyone around you is being very demonstrative about their coupled status and taking these huge quantum life leaps. How do you not look around and be all right. So we're going to talk about that because as me, the queen of the singles, I deal with this all the time, you know? Some of my friends are on their second marriage and I'm like, where's my second marriage? Am I not due for another divorce right about now? I'm ready. So we're going to talk about that. But for now, for today, let's stick with shitty people getting ahead. This is life, right? And this is why I do Evil Week. Because I think one of the things that makes us so bitter and so bedraggled and so liebschmude, which is a German word meaning life tired, not suicidal, just life tired of being alive, right? And don't we all know that feeling? Just this again. Okay. One thing that gets us to that place of just emotionally worn out is resentfulness. What is resentfulness and bitterness based on? Comparison. It's the root of it. I'm bitter because I don't have a Yukon Denali. I only have a Dodge Ram. Meh. If I only ever saw Dodge Rams in the world, I'd be like, fuck, I'm killing it with this 3,500. Yeah. But I don't. Denalis exist, and they're $98,000, and I don't own one. Anyway, obviously same with romance. Same with work. Why is Kim getting ahead, and I'm stuck here in a junior graphic design position? She's not as good as me. What is she doing that I'm not? But you know our phrase around here. We can get bitter, or we can get better. And the reason I do Evil Week is because in order to beat people like this, you have to understand them. And Evil Week is meant to immerse us in evil so that we can borrow some of those traits and use it to get ahead while still retaining our inherent goodness. We don't have to go full bad. I mean, you can if you want to. I'm not gonna stop you. But we need to learn and know thy enemy. Truly, the weakest people among us, and this is why I make a t-shirt and a hoodie that says evil is more fun. It should be like evil is more efficient. I should have made that. Evil is more efficient. Because the weakest people among us are the ones who operate solely in society from a place of love and understanding. Now, we want to operate like 70%, 60% from that plane. But the rest, we got to be a little bit smarter. You know, the animals that survive the longest are the ones who are not predatory animals, but they're also not prey. Like a dog. They're not a predator, but they're not like easy pickings. You know, a rabbit, a pigeon, these are easy pickings. Like, is that a cigarette butt on the ground? Oh, that looks delicious. Oh, idiot. You know, we're not doing that. We know just enough to maximize results in society while protecting ourselves and while still being good. But let's talk about people who are bad. So I did some research on this and I found an article that I really, really liked by this Dr. Ronald Riggio. He's a professor of psychology and organizational psychology at Claremont McKenna out in California. And he did an article called 5 Reasons Bad Guys Always Seem to Win and How We Stop Them. The first thing to understand about shitty people is that they don't play by the rules. They play dirty. Now, my family is an old Italian family, and we actually have a motto in Latin, Viam inveniamus. It means we find a way. And I have used this as like my own personal like life motto from everything from like, oh gosh, the flight's oversold. No, you're never going to get a seat. Viam inveniamus. To getting a corner office. Viam inveniamus. Oh, that girl's out for 2 weeks because she's sick. Huh, that's interesting. I'm going to do her job, show that I can do it better. And when she comes back, she's not going to have a job at all. Is that ethical? I don't know. I don't care. Is it moral? Fuck, probably not. Is it effective? Oh yeah. So instead of becoming prey, I find ways to become predator. And, you know, some of you guys like, the world isn't just predator or prey. Well, it sounds like I know which side you're on, you know? Just because you identify as a predator doesn't mean you eat everything. Wolves don't eat everything. You know, like great white sharks don't even eat everything. They eat a lot of stuff though. They eat like license plates and shit. They're pretty dumb. But like, it doesn't mean you kill indiscriminately. It means you see an opportunity, you focus in on it, and you go for it. You don't constantly have your head on a swivel waiting for trouble to find you. No. And bad guys know that lying is actually, more often than not, very easy to get away with. Most people operate on what's known as a trusting bias. And the doctor who wrote this said, research on deception shows that even when subjects are told they will hear 50% truth and 50% lies, they tend to believe that the majority of what they hear is the truth. Because most people choose kindness, lead with love. What would Jesus do? You know, and that's great. That really is a good approach. But again, you want to wind that back. You don't want to live 100% like that. You want to wind that back to like 60, 70% and have a healthy skepticism at all times. So this is why con artists, bad people, why they keep slithering through society is because we are hardwired, especially women. Be kind, be polite, choose love. When was the last fucking time you saw a man with a coffee mug that says choose kindness? Or a shirt that says more love, just choose more love, love is better? Never. I've never seen that It's only women who get this message. It's only women. And so we are the gatekeepers of goodness, aren't we? And you know what men are doing while we're choosing love? They're running the world. So how do you deal with this? Ask tough questions. Don't believe everything people tell you. In this con artist video tomorrow I talk about why we get conned. And it's not because someone is smarter than us. It's because they prey on our emotions, right? They prey on this societal expectation of women to be polite, choose love, believe people. I trust people until they give me a reason not to. I don't. I'm nice to everyone until they give me a reason not to. I'm polite to everyone, but am I going out of my way in like this kindness dump? No, not to everyone. No, to some people. See a single mom holding a sign on the side of the road? Yeah, her. Not just like everyone. No. That's spending my emotional currency and my energy and like my physical currency. Like, no. You want a place in my life. You want some of my resources. Earn it. Show me that my investment in you and in this time is worth it. How does this relate to Lindsay? Well, like we said, people tend to lie and get away with it because they know most people have that trust bias. And the amount of lies she told, I remember she was coming out of a club and she said, Paris is such a cunt. And a reporter heard her and they're like, why did you call Paris a cunt? She's like, I never said that. They're like, you just said it. I heard you. She's like, no, I didn't. I never said that. And all her deranged stands were like, Lindsay didn't say that. It was on tape. Like, it was on tape. And if she was going to lie that blatantly when someone was recording her, you think she can't lie in like a tweet or a caption or through a publicist? And so this is why I do this channel, is like to expose the bullshit celebrities feed us. And like, just because someone's famous doesn't mean that they're true. Doesn't mean that they're an honest person. In fact, most celebrities aren't, because think of the ruthlessness required to get to the top of the heap in Hollywood. You don't get there by choosing love. A lot of times you get there by sucking a bunch of dicks. This segues into point number 2. Bad people understand power dynamics. They understand that people in authority and positions of authority, and that includes celebrity because they are a cultural authority, a social, popular authority, the way the popular girl at school is or the popular guy, get away with a lot of shit. People are reluctant to question others in a state of authority because we are conditioned that, well, they got there for a reason. I mean, he's the manager here at Golden Spoon for a reason, so he must know what's going on. Even if we say that out loud, we're like, Dennis does not know what the fuck is going on. We understand that whoever put him in power in that position believes that he does know. And so we're reluctant to question this. Again, especially women, we are taught to like, work hard, be humble. I don't want to do either, quite frankly. I want to work a little and be just a braggy douchebag. So we need to question authority constantly. Just because someone is, a doctor with the last name of, I'm not sure, Fauci, doesn't mean that they are infallible. Science is based on skepticism. Science is based on critical thinking, challenging results. We should probably be doing that more now in our scientific realm of this vaccine. We also need to be doing it in every other category of our life. Just because someone's the boss doesn't mean they're infallible. And look, I know we don't always have the luxury of questioning our bosses. But if we can pull back and say, I'm not sure that this person knows what they're talking about, we can start to formulate a plan to dismantle that person. Because every boss has a boss, for the most part. Like whether that boss is like vendors, like whether the boss is actually the customer. Maybe you work for someone who owns their own business. Well, they won't have a business if they don't have any customers. So once you acknowledge, okay, this person might not know what they're talking about, I'm going to try to dismantle this, then you can at least form a plan. But this is why shitty people get ahead. We're reluctant to question people the higher they go. Well, he must know what he's talking about. He's a doctor. Yeah, doctors used to prescribe mercury and cocaine and enemas full of lead. Okay? They know a lot, but they don't know everything. And do we have the right, nay, the responsibility to question people in authority? And when you start to question shitty people, they break down real quick. Like Lindsay Lohan. I didn't say that. No. They don't have a secondary plan for how to deal with people pushing back against them because they're fueled by ego. Like that is their engine, their ego. Everyone else is stupid. No one's actually going to ask me the hard questions. And if they do, I'm so smart, I'll be able to shut them down. They don't have a concept of what the hard questions actually are. Con men work on this a lot. Con stands for confidence. They're confident that you are going to believe their horseshit. And they're very confident you're not going to figure it out. Even though I owe her money and I'm in Costa Rica and I'm saying I'm too broke to pay her and I'm in Costa Rica, she's not going to like put that together. I'm the smartest person here. No, babe. Not as long as I'm there. No, you're not. Good luck with that. So when we can push back and go into it with a plan or a strategy and not just be reactive but proactive and say, do you want to explain to me how you can't pay me $1,700 but you can take off for Costa Rica for a week? I would like to see you explain that. Where's this money coming from? Can you show me the source? Whose money is it? What other job do you have? They're going to melt down because they're not used to being challenged. They don't want to be challenged. And if we can maintain this core of like rock solid, I guess, a mask, you know, where we can just act confident and very calm, like a true villain, and outlast the enemy, you're just going to give them enough rope to hang themselves. They're going to start to break down because they don't have answers. They don't have answers. People react very poorly when they're backed into a corner. Honestly, they can be very dangerous. There's a podcast you should listen to called Red Collar. It's so good. It's about white collar criminals, like financial fraudsters, con men, who end up killing because they're backed into a corner. And the time when a con artist is the most dangerous is right before they're exposed. Right before, because they know things are going to collapse around them. And they can, I mean, they're desperate and they're out of options and they're an animal backed into a corner. So that's just something to keep in mind, you know? Reason number 3 why shitty people do well. Something called the bystander effect. Like this story, I didn't even read the details because it was so deeply upsetting to me. But this woman was raped on a train in Philly while like people watched and no one did anything. And it's when we hear that, it's unconscionable. They pulled out their phone. I can't even talk about it. Ugh, except for the fact that I am talking about it. But we hear that and we're like, how would anyone let that happen? I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. And I bet if you asked those people the day before, would you have done that? They'd be like, no. It's something called the bystander effect. A lot of people at the end of the day, they're fucking pussies. They're just cowards. You know, they're chicken shit. And they are followers. We're not here on this channel. We're leaders. And it's lonely at the top, isn't it? Leaders are out in front. Leaders are out on that risky limb, trying to achieve things, trying to forge new ground, trying to do things other people aren't. Followers aren't. Followers aren't doing that shit. They're staying in the shadows being like, you're stupid, you're canceled. You're a fucking pigeon. I'm an eagle. We aren't the same. Okay? I'm flying so high I can't even hear you. Your lungs would give out at this altitude where I'm at. Stay down there in the gutter. I see some cigarette butts in the ground for you. But because of this, followers flock together and they're, someone else will do something. Cigarette butt. People assume that someone else will stand up and do the right thing. And again, with this con artist video tomorrow, I had people like in my life, they're like, you know what? This isn't your fight. Disconnect from this company. Disconnect from this guy. He's someone else's problem now. I'm just not wired that way. I have this inordinate sense of justice and like, I cannot abide injustice. I can't do it. Part of it's because I'm an Aquarius. Part of it's because I'm an only child of a single mom. And we talked about this in the video we did about Bad Baby, Bahad Bahabi, the Cash Me Outside girl. Because she's a fighter and she's really spiky. And if you know about her life, it makes complete sense. Like her dad was in and out of her life and then only danced back in once she got famous. He's like, I want to protect you. And she's like, where the fuck were you when I needed protecting when I was 9? And her mom, like, I understand why she had to become like so spiky and aggressive. I get it. Like I would be best friends with her. I totally get her. And the people who put us in this role are the ones who turn around and question why we're doing it. There's a line from this movie, I've said it before, A Few Good Men, where it's like this Jack Nicholson, he's just like Marine colonel. And he's like, you sleep under the blanket of freedom I provide, and then you question the manner in which I provide it. I'm like, fuck, that's exactly how I feel. You sleep under the protection of, under my spikiness. I'm out in front. I'm the sword and the shield, protecting my family, protecting my friends. And then you turn around and you're like, why are you so spiky? I just impaled your enemy on that spike. Okay? So the bystander effect is the people saying, why are you so spiky? And so I couldn't let this con artist thing go because I'm like, I cannot just let this be someone else's problem. And we also have this sort of laissez-faire attitude of nothing's going to help. Why should I stand up to this boss? It's not going to do anything. He's just going to keep on doing it. Why should I stick my neck out there? Please don't ever be a prosecutor, right? I mean, he's like raped 5 people, but he's just gonna keep on raping. So like, what's the point of charging him? That is the point. That's the point. So we have to be that prosecutor. And I know what you're saying. Well, why should I stick my neck out for other people? Because it is the right thing to do. And this is about kindness. This is about justice. This is the right thing to do. And you know what? You're right. Maybe you won't stop that boss. Maybe you won't stop that dramatic friend, but you might stop them from coming after you. What bad people are, a lot of times, are bullies. They want to get their way. And bullies go after the weak. They hit the weak link. I've said before, who does the captain of the lacrosse team bully? Not the captain of the soccer team. He goes for the doofus. He goes for the shrimpy, scrawny kid who's not going to fight back or do anything. He doesn't go for the kid who started the jiu-jitsu club. No. So if you can establish yourself, even if it feels fake, even if you're like, I actually am the nerd, I can't do jiu-jitsu. It doesn't matter. The bluff is usually enough. The bluff is enough for you to say, hey, you run that fucking game on someone else, not me, not me. You want to go out, drink a bottle of wine and start a fight? Fine, you find your own way home. No, I'm not picking your ass up off the ground at this bar. I'm not doing it. I'm going to enjoy my night. So next time that person wants to do something like that, they're going to do it to someone else. They're going to be like, Shallon's not going to abide this. And look, I would do this with dramatic and shitty friends, alcoholic friends, drug addict friends. And I was always the bad guy in the group. Like, wow, you're just going to like leave her alone at the bar blacked out? Yeah, I am actually, because this is the 8th time in a row she's done it. And maybe if she's got to figure out how to get home on her own, and maybe if she's got to have the bartender call her an expensive cab, she's going to think twice. Who changes if there's no consequences? And again, maybe you're not going to change this shitty person, but you might change how willing they are to put their shittiness on you. And that is a win. And then maybe they will think twice. I always thought that little blonde girl Shallon was going to be an easy target. No. Blonde girl Ashley, Leigh. She might be like Shallon, so I'm going to move on from her too. They might come up with a different sort of police sketch of their favorite victims. And then they might bark up a really wrong tree. And then they're going to get smacked in a really big way. And you will have been part of that outcome. You will have been part of that justice. Again, even if you're not, it feels good to stand up for ourselves. You know, we hear about people who were raped or traumatized or something, and they never got justice, and they never told anyone, or they never went to the police. And it's like, that stays with you because it's shame. It's, I have betrayed myself. I didn't control what this other person did to me, but I controlled how I reacted, and I didn't react in a way that honored who I truly was and my sense of justice. You try, you fail, at least you tried. You probably learned something. You never try, you never stand up to these people, you feel like a victim. You feel like prey. And it's very hard to switch into predator mode, into strength mode, into alpha mode, when you know you were a pussy in this other category. It's really tough. It seeps into you. Well, I didn't stand up for myself when Kim took over that project at work. It was my idea and my clients. So I guess it's fine that my ex still DMs, or my boyfriend still DMs his ex. I mean, it's fine. It's not like a big deal. We don't consciously say this to ourselves. We don't consciously link these concepts, but they walk hand in hand. Who cares if I order the fries? I'm a fat piece of shit anyway. I'm not going to go to Pilates tomorrow morning. I'm just not, and I'm not going to cancel it either. I'm going to get charged a $30 late fee because I'm a piece of shit, and that's what I'm going to do. I'll have 2 more shots. It gets in there, and it affects everything. When I started standing up for myself, and I know that I've gone a little far to the other side. Evil is this, evil is that. I love evil. I would rather be seen as a little evil and a little intimidating than too soft. Because I spent my whole life like that. Taken advantage of, saying yes. Where did it get me? Brokenhearted, divorced, fired. You know, had I stood up for myself a little bit more, maybe I would have had better outcomes. So I'm trying that now. And if people don't like me, if they say I'm a bitch, I am a bitch. Good. Spread that reputation. I can dial it down when I see fit. I can always be nicer. Like, that's easy. But once you establish yourself as too nice in your own mind, it can be hard to put those boundaries back up. You know, it's never too late, and it's certainly not impossible, you know, but it's better if we err on the side of maybe a few too many boundaries, maybe a few too many standards. Maybe the bar's a little too high. Maybe I'm not quite so jolly when you're making jokes at my expense. Bad people are doing this. This is how they operate in the world, and they're getting ahead. They're getting more respect. Okay, and last but not least, the doctor points out that there's 2 conceptual biases at work. One is called the vividness effect, where that it means that like bad events, we tend to remember things that are more vivid. You know, it's like we think celebrity deaths come in 3s or catastrophes come in 3s, right? It's because bad things stand out in our mind. Now, the antidote to this is cultivating gratitude. You know, if we are more attuned to the wonderful things going on, just the fact that we got up, that we're healthy, that I can swallow, my throat doesn't hurt, and I'm not in the hospital, like, wow. Okay, yeah, my coffee was wrong. Okay, whatever. Look at all I have to be grateful for. Gratitude is muscle memory, and we have to practice it to be good at it, like anything else. Like playing the saxophone, like giving blowjobs, practice makes perfect. So let's start with gratitude. How does this affect like bad people? Something else called, let's see what it's called, the weight of negative events. That's right. The weighting of negative events. Research on social perceptions shows that we're more likely to notice and remember negative events as opposed to positive ones. This gives the appearance that the bad guys are more active than they are and that bad things are on the rise. Therefore, and I'm surprised he didn't loop it back around, if bad things are all around us, if bad events are on the rise, what's the point in trying to fight? I had a friend lecture me about my unwillingness to get the vaccine. She's like, just what does it matter? Everyone's getting it. I said, everyone can get it. I am standing up for myself. I am standing up for the future. One day, there's going to be something mandated that you don't want. And then what? Then what? Look at all the freedoms you're already giving away, the precedent you will have already set. I am trying to prevent that from happening. I'm trying to hold the line. And it might not matter. You know, like I'm one person, but I've got an audience. It matters to me, and it matters to my sense of justice that I think it's wrong that the bridge between someone earning a living or getting an education or educating their child is putting an experimental drug with no long-term data in their fucking body for a disease with the mortality rate of a bee sting. And I'm not going to apologize for that. And you can say that it's stupid and it's pointless. I don't think that it is. It's not pointless to me. It's something I believe in because I believe in your ability to choose what you do with your body. What kind of hypocrite would I be if I come on here talking about abortion rights and get your tits done if you want to and stand up for yourself, but you need to comply in this area? How dare you stand up for yourself? Why would anyone be surprised that this is my point of view? I'm not saying don't get it. If you want to get it, who cares? Get it. If it makes you feel good, that's the point. Even if it doesn't do anything, I believe in the placebo effect, you know, like I'm protected, that boosts your immune system just thinking that. Great, girl. So that's just my little rant. So I'm never going to stop standing up for that. But how does this relate to shitty people? Okay, the weight of negative events and the vividness effect. Again, if we think badness is all around us, we're less likely to stand up to bad people. Well, that's just how it is. This is just how management goes. Every boss is going to be shitty. So why would I even look around for another job? Complacency is what they want. So this is what the doctor says about this, the psychologist. What to do about this? Be objective. Realize that bad events are more or less random, and that if we fought back against the bad guys, bullies, bad leaders, con artists, criminals, a lot fewer bad things would happen. I believe this about the mandates. If we took to the streets, if we really raised our voices and stopped shaming people who are standing up for this, we would stop having lockdowns and stop having mandates. Politicians are elected. They know that. They're not kings. They're not emperors. They don't die on the throne and have a Tudor dynasty. They could be out the fucking door next election if we stand up and say, we're done with this. The Omicron variant is less deadly than Delta, which is less deadly than COVID, which is, again, the mortality rate of a bee sting. So what is the Omicron mortality rate? 0.000001%? Like, seriously, you know there's 0 deaths from COVID for people under 30 in America right now? 0. And yet the vaccine is being mandated for children? Why? To protect grandma? Grandma can stay home. Kids should not be staying home. They should be at school. Young women, young men should not be staying home. They should be working. Old people can stay home. They can stay home. And I know people are like, I'm trying to protect you. Okay, I appreciate that. I'm trying to protect you too. Maybe our points of view are not that different. And, I said in the Vlogmas, I'm going to do a series on just debates, like things that we can debate and talk about and gain perception and point of view from each other. Because here on this channel, we are all such smart women, and men. Hi, gays. And like the 3 straight guys, hi. So we should be able to have discourses in respectful and healthy ways. Like we should. If we can't, fuck, man, we are so screwed. So we got to kind of set the tone for this, and we can do it. So to recap, shitty people, why they get ahead. They play dirty. They're ruthless. They're Machiavellian. Viam inveniamus. Right. We find a way. Borrow a little bit of that. Be a little ruthless. How would you act if there was no guilt? How would you act if society had told you your whole life, do whatever you need to get ahead? Because that's what it tells men. And it works out pretty good for them. How would you behave? Try acting like that a half hour a day. No, I'm not going to accept this return for half of what I paid for it. I'll wait and speak to the manager. You can be a Karen without being a bitch. You can, and this is another word. You're a Karen. You're asking to speak to the manager. This is another way we keep women small, right? What's the male equivalent of a Karen? Exactly. There isn't one. Men get what they want. Men can be demanding and difficult because they're standing up for themselves. Women are making trouble. You're making trouble. And I'm going to record you and I'm going to put it on the internet. And I'm going to ruin your life because you wanted to speak to the manager. I just want my Kohl's cash. I just want my Kohl's cash, man. That's all. I got some aloe socks to buy. That's really all we're talking about here. We'll see if things go bad for Lindsay. Yay or whatever. I'm just happy that my engagement ring was larger. Forever petty. Tell me what you think about Lindsay's engagement. Are you a Lindsay stan? Are you happy to see whatever comeback she's mounting? Yeah. Okay. I'll see you later, Shalligators. Tune in tomorrow for a scorchy little Evil Week bonus video exposing a con artist, and come back for a Vlogmas. And like I said, if you need some help, head to my website, shallonlester.com, and click submit a question, or head to Cameo for a little video shout out from yours truly.